Hey guys, Tarek Merriface here. This is a pretty much unedited video, although I might try and install and use Final Cut Pro on the phone. But right now my MacBook's on the fritz. It has to basically a whole section of the computer has to be replaced. It's going to be gone for quite a while. So I thought that I could make a very quick unedited video about a topic that's sort of been in the back of my mind for a while. So obviously being an aviation lover, I consume a lot of aviation content. I watch a bunch of YouTube channels and I listen to a bunch of podcasts and that kind of stuff. And some of the advice that keeps coming up to private pilots or all pilots in general is that in order to improve your skills and to maintain your skills, you should keep doing lots of training. So get new like tailwheel ratings and warbird ratings and all that sort of stuff. And that's actually, in a way, really good advice. But there's a caveat, and that's cost, right? That stuff costs a fortune. I mean, here in the UK, flying a Spitfire is sort of like $2,000 an hour or something. It's ridiculously expensive. And so just do more training is not necessarily an option for everyone. And here, I'm talking more about private pilots, right? So it's a bit of a conversation. If you have some thoughts on the topic, some ideas, to share, like I'm about to share with you, then please let me know and then we can discuss it. Basically, I'm going to give you some of my thoughts on other things you can do to improve your skills as a pilot or to maintain skills or to upgrade yourself, right? Get those XP points, if you will. And then share those with me in the comments below, any others that you may have. So it's a bit more of a conversation as opposed to just me talking to you. So the first one is read. I think reading is really good. There are loads of fantastic aviation books, technical books, and sort of something that's in between the two. So for example, The Killing Zone is a good book. You've got Stick and Rudder by Wolfgang Langevici. And then you've got a bunch of books about engines and meteorology and principles of flight. There's just so much to go about. Certainly read. And I think this is especially true for people who are private pilots who haven't flown in a while. They tend to sort of lose a lot of the knowledge they had from doing the private training because they don't study the theory anymore. And if they got their private license 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that stuff is going to go away pretty quick. So keep your knowledge up to date by reading. Get an audiobook if you want to. If you don't want to sit down and read, then certainly do that. Maybe find some workbooks. I know I regularly check Rod Machado's page to see some of the workbooks, and they're really good. So obviously, affiliate link in the description below. And so those workbooks are really quite good as well. And they're fun to do. You know, you revise and you learn in a fun way, as opposed to just sort of reading material, which can be quite dull. The second one is along the same lines, which is consume aviation content. So there's loads of really good aviation content. Of course, there are lots of bad stuff. Thinking recently about a guy perhaps jumping out of a perfectly functioning airplane. But there are really good channels. For example, The Finer Points is a fantastic channel because it's a guy who's got loads of experience. And I watch that channel regularly because he gives some really good pointers, not just in terms of flying, but also in terms of instruction. And so I find that a really, really good channel. One I really like is Flight Chops. Perhaps not so much for the quality of training stuff, but Flight Chops puts a heck of a lot of effort in the cinematography, and so it's really pretty, and it's the videos are structured in a really, really engaging way where it really teaches the viewers a bunch of stuff, and you get loads of nuggets of information from folks who are more experienced and knowledgeable than Flight Chops himself, and who happens to be a really humble pilot. And so for that reason, I think it's a fantastic channel to learn from because he knows how to outsource that knowledge, because he's got the means to do it. So that's my other advice. Go ahead and find sort of good content. You've also got podcasts that do the same thing. So The Finer Points does both YouTube and podcasts, for example. So my third one is, of course, flying. You're gonna have to fly naturally. So, but perhaps you won't need to fly that often, right? So doing a new course is expensive, but doing your regular flying, that's just going to cost you what it normally costs you. And really, it's giving purpose to each flight. So don't just go bumbling around the local area. There's a saying that I really like, which is, I'd rather fly with a pilot with 100 hours of experience than one that has 1 hour of experience 10,000 times, right? So make every flight count. So go out there with a mission. Practice things. In my opinion, the most important thing to practice is actually slow flight. Private pilots really don't have the hang of slow flight as much as they should. And if you master slow flight, looking and not looking in the airspeed indicator, different configurations, climbing, straight and level, descending, turns. If you really master that skill of slow flight, you become a much, much safer pilot with a lot more skills. Understanding the aircraft at the edge of the normal performance envelope is vital. And so I certainly recommend practicing slow flight. But you can also practice steep turns and stalls and that sort of stuff. And that's certainly a very good thing to do. And try new things. Try to do new routes. Fly to an airport you haven't flown before. Perhaps instead of flying twice a month as you normally do, fly once a month for a few months and then use the additional money you've saved up to go do a slightly longer trip somewhere you haven't been to before. Excellent, excellent experience. Flying into new airports is, in my opinion, one of the best ways for a pilot to improve their skills. The final thing I would suggest is that try and fly with an instructor every now and again, right? And so I know private pilots who only fly with an instructor when they need to revalidate their single engine piston rating, right? Or the biannual flight review for the US. And so that's really not often. That's an excellent way to get lazy and to start developing bad habits and that kind of stuff. So an instructor will catch those quite early on. So again, use an example where you are fortunate enough to be able to fly twice a month. Perhaps maybe every second month fly with an instructor, and don't just do that. Don't just book an instructor and expect them to do everything for you. Go in there with a mission like you do in your normal flights by yourself, right? Go in there with a mission saying, today, I want to learn advanced navigation techniques. Can you teach me something about how to navigate like you would in the commercial? Today, I would like you to teach me how to brief a departure properly, the way a commercial pilot would. Or today, I'd like to practice stalls again, or spin prevention, whatever it is. Come in there with a mission. Today, I want to get off that airplane with a new set of skills or knowledge or bits of knowledge that I didn't have when I got on the plane in the first place, right? So make good use of your instructor. You're paying a lot of money for it, so don't let it go to waste by just booking an instructor and not doing anything else with them. So those are my pieces of advice. That's what I think private pilots should be doing when on a budget to improve their flying and to maintain their skills and that kind of stuff. Again, this should be a two-way conversation, so if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. We'll continue the discussion in the comment section below. I'm really curious to see what you think. But yeah, I'm going to try and see if I can edit this on Final Cut Pro. If I can't, then that's fine. It's going to be raw video. I'm Tarek Merface. I'll see you guys next time, and happy flying.